Good evening, everyone. Ellen Sutter of ESP Presents and ESP Book Chats. We'll bring page turners your way, guys. Earlier, we talked to Suzetta Perkins, and we're going to talk to her in a few moments. Her book is titled Fallen Leaves. That's part one. And this is part two, Black Diamond. This is part two, Black Diamond. Gave it some lashes. Don't want to give. Sorry about that, Suzette. So there we go. She got some lashes like me. She got my lashes. So, Suzette, this is Black Diamond. So you guys take a look at that. That's better. It's kind of off the page, but Black Diamond. Thank you guys for being here. On our screen, you will see Wendy Arced as well as Suzette Perkins. I'm going to invite Wendy in if she's able. Book Club, ESP Book Chats, as well as Suzette Perkins. She will be here in a moment. We'll be bringing her in as she comes. Again, Fallen Leaves is the book. If you are out there, guys, swipe and share. Again, I'm Ellen Sutter of ESP Presents and ESP Book Chats, where we bring page turners your way. Okay. Thank you, Wendy. Where we bring page turners your way. Thank you. Wendy will be on shortly. Suzette, thank you for being here. Come
I got
on
it.
in. Yes, you did it
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Wendy, she'll be coming on shortly. She just gave me, so she'll kind of ease on in the room. I'll have her in here,
Okay.
and she'll be coming in. I'm so super excited about this.
Me too.
This is. Do you have your book, Fallen Leaf? Both of those books in your hand. I got the other one, but Fallen Leaf I have on Kindle. And those of you that are out there, both books, Fallen Leaves and Black Diamond, are on audio. I got audio, both book and audio of each one. So you guys also go out and get it. Some people like to just be on audio only. So if you're one of those, I just want to listen to it and put it in your car, you can see that as well. And you were talking about your books. I like the books, the bookshelf, and the purple girl.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, girl.
Yeah.
It's full of books. I have about one, two, three, four. I have four bookcases in this one room.
Woo-hoo-hoo. I have one. My fireplace is a bookshelf, and that's what made. I was like, I didn't even go around and look and see what the house was like. I saw the bookshelf, and I told my husband, "Yeah, get this one, get that, yeah, yeah." I didn't even look around the house. I was like, "Oh my goodness."
always, I always wanted a house that had a book, a bookcase in it, but I've been living in the same one for 30 something years, so
Hey,
it don't look
girl.
like I would get one of those. I had to buy mine, but you can see it goes all along the length of the wall. I
It's
have them in
beautiful.
every. I have bookcases in every room. I
That's
was
what I'm
talking to somebody else
talking about. That's
yesterday.
what I'm talking about. I
I
tried to lace
love
them up.
books.
Me
I,
too. But
I've,
I'm
I,
not a book hoarder. So you read your books. There's some people that like to collect books.
Yeah. Now I collect them but I do read, and then I'm a book club president. So, in fact, I have this stand is sitting on top of Heaven and Earth's grocery store by James McBride, which is I got to finish reading before
Oh, you know what?
Saturday. Yeah.
I'm glad you're reading it. I have that on Kindle. I read the synopsis and I like it. So when you read that, I would love to talk to you about that. We can do a YouTube if you have YouTube.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
do have that book as well. Wendy is looking
I
in. She hasn't joined us
see.
yet, but
Yeah.
she's looking in. So do tell us about yourself. You just mentioned book club president. I didn't know that, but I knew you were in the book club. Let's talk about the different facets of you, who you are, the backdrop of your book. and also what made you write this story. So, who you are,
Oh,
backdrop of your book,
okay.
and why did you write this story?
All right. Well, my name is Suzetta Perkins. I have been writing really all my life, but I penned my first novel in the year 2000. But I've had the gift and love of writing for ever and ever since I was, this high. In fact, I had stories that I used to leave all over the house, and I remember my mother saying, "When you gonna get this stuff out of here?" But my very first published work, I will say, is in my yearbook, my 1970 yearbook. I was the co-editor of my high school yearbook then. So, and then on the back, I wish I had brought it in here, but anyway, on the back is, we had to write a little whatever, and in conclusion type thing, about the year, and along with my picture, believe it or not, and it's on the back of my 1970 yearbook. I don't recall how many students we had at Hayward High at that time, but every student who bought a book has
What?
my autograph. Yeah, so that is
That's
where my first
awesome.
published work is, and I'm like, you go, girl. You go,
That's what
girl.
I'm talking about. You go,
Yeah.
girl, way back in high school.
Yeah. So anyway, I've been like I said, I've been writing all along, uh, you know, dreaming that one day that I would publish, a little afraid to get out there and get my feet wet. But in the year 2000, rather, I actually, penned my first novel, which was Behind the Veil. So anyway, I am the
Love
author.
that. I
Yeah,
love it. We got to bring that back
yeah.
out. We definitely have to bring it
You
back out.
That is, you know what? You are so right. And it actually has three parts to it. Is part of a series. But anyway, I love that book, and people are still, honestly, they're still purchasing that book. I mean, even if it's one or two, I even had a book club. I think it was last year, year before, actually the year before last, who actually did that for their book club. And I'm like, Behind the Veil, really? I'm like, wow, that's a testament
I
to me.
love
But
it.
yeah,
I absolutely
yeah.
love that.
So I am the author of 20 novels. I write women's suspense, and I'm also the co-author with my granddaughter Samayya of a children's book called The Adventures of Grammy and Sammy. Her name is Samayya, but we nickname her Sammy. And so it's like 10 short vignettes of things that we did. Of course, some of it's embellished a little bit, but 10 vignettes. And she was very hands-on in writing that book with me. She was 7 years old at the time, but now she's getting ready to graduate from North Carolina A&T. So you can see how long that has been. Yeah, so that was wonderful. She won excellence in writing awards in her elementary school, and I thought it not robbery if she would go along with me, to write this story, write do something with me, as far as writing is concerned. So to get to the rest of your question, because I know I'm running I run my mouth a lot. I am now retired. I saw the bio and I said, oh, I gotta go change my bio. I have been retired from Fayetteville State University for 3 years. I no longer work that. I always travel, but I'm even traveling more. Just got back from South Africa. I was yes, it was wonderful. 2 weeks. And I was in, prior to that, a month or so prior to that, I was in Milan, Italy, and so anyway, I'm just having a
That's
ball. Yeah, but I'm still the president of the Sisters Book Club here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I've been, well, I actually started it in 1999, so it's been going for 25 years. This is the 25th year.
yeah.
Also, through my church, we have what we call life groups. And with the life groups, you know, in each individual, if you have a certain thing that you would like to share or gather a group together, petition it, to the church. But anyway, my life group I started was called Literary Ink because a lot of people asked me, well, Suzetta, I always wanted to write and da 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 da. So I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna do that. And so what I do is every Monday night we meet and I give guidance, to help them through the process to learn the mechanics because, writing isn't just, putting down something on paper. There's a mechanics to writing. And
Mhm.
so, I give them guidance um, through the beginning, preparing a novel, to, the plot flow, all that kind of thing, to publishing. And so we have one author in our group, one person, well, they're all authors, they're just not all published authors. But so I have one person in our group to become a published author. And my church, we thought our pastor allowed us to have what we call a literary cafe. And so we did, we had the authors from the church, those who are author who belong to the church, had an opportunity to participate, and the pastor let us do it after church, and
Nice.
it was wonderful. We got to, and the church, oh my God, they were so supportive, and we got to sell our books, in the fellowship hall and
Woo!
all of that, and people
That's
learned.
huge.
Oh
That
my.
is huge.
Yes, yes. So we're doing a lot of things. And then I just want to give this last little point. Um, I have been nominated for a Lifetime Literary Award through Chosen Pen, which is another group that I support and mentor other women. And on December the 7th here in Fayetteville, um, I will. Well, I will be there at the gala. We're having a gala. I'll put it like that. We're having a gala.
Awesome.
And also, I'm a judge because what we did was we asked for submissions um, for authors to submit their books in wide range of genres. And we're having first, second, and third placements for each of those genres and and some of them different categories within the genre. And so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, it has been a blessed time for me, being able to give back, to give of myself, and I just really, am blessed by it because when I see others reap,
Mm,
the
mm.
benefits of what I'm able to share, not that I'm somebody, all of that, because I'm not, but but being able, when God gives you gifts, you want to be able to share them. And so I just feel, blessed that I've been given that kind of opportunity, to do that. So
Awesome. Hold on, I need to cough.
okay. I hope you're okay.
And I'm
I didn't mean to laugh.
well. I was gonna say, and I'm well. It's just the throat was,
I
I
didn't
don't
mean
get
to.
to talking. You know how we
Right,
do. You can't sneeze without
right,
getting pulled over.
right,
You
right,
can't
right.
cough without
That's
getting pulled over.
true. That's
It used to
true.
be a blessing when somebody sneezed. Now it's like, does she have COVID,
Oh,
guys?
I know. Girl,
You know,
wait a minute. And you go and grab your mask, right? That you should have had on in the first place. you know,
putting 6 masks and 17 masks. But
right?
I want to go ahead and ask you. You didn't leave it out, but it's just in time. People are coming in. Let's reset. I'm resetting here, and guys, I thank you. I can't see those names too good. And Wendy, we got that. Wendy's going to be coming over about 7:20, and we'll still be here. And so, for those who come in the room, Suzette Perkins, we have her here, and we're talking about her book, which I don't have in hand. She has it in hand, Fallen Leaves. We are going to get into this, and it's a lot of deep depth stuff she put into the book that we really like. So if you get the book, it is on audio for Fallen. It is on audio for Black Diamond. I have Black Diamond here, and I can't wait to crank up that audio and to, listen to it on audio and have it here as well. Oops. So I can't wait to do that. And we're just going to deep dive in just like we did this. And why did you write this story, Fallen Leaves? Tell us, why did you write the story? What brought it about?
Okay, what brought Fallen Leaves about? Well, I wrote it in 2020, and that's when we were going through the pandemic. And the pandemic for me was, and I think for many others, because a lot of us who are, here now, we had not experienced anything like that before, like the plague, the bubonic plague, and all of those things. So the epidemic, the COVID, was something, that, really hit us, we were almost unaware, and not realizing how out of proportion this thing was going to get, a global, which means pandemic, of course. And so I was feeling some kind of way because just like many others, I lost family members, friends. I mean, and it wasn't just, one every 2 or 3 months. It was like people were just falling, were passing away, every other day. Every time you listen, you didn't even want to, look at Facebook or anything like that, because now, everybody posts everything on Facebook. And it just really depressed me. I'll put it like that. I didn't want to say that, but it really did.
Mm-hmm.
It depressed me. And actually I wasn't in the mood to do a lot of writing, but it kept bothering me as we were going through it. And of course, I was off from work for a short time because of where I work, even though I don't consider myself an essential employee, but my boss made us come back to work,
Yeah.
So anyway, having said that, I thought, what have I done as far as the, well, it wasn't so much the pandemic. Let me go ahead on. And so while we were out with the pandemic in April, another event occurred. And that was the killing or the death of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And while this has been going on in, the United States and other places as well, which you'll see that in Black Diamond, our folks were getting killed, but because we were all stationary, I believe, we were all at home and we were watching the TV, probably nonstop, or it was on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw this, and then we kept seeing it. And they kept playing it over and over and over and over, and I'm just like, wow, I'm watching, I saw what happened in my city, what they were, were doing, the marches and all of that, and I said, well, what am I doing? And it just said, you know what? I said, even though I'm not in that real mode to write, but I want to write a story, how it affected me. And so what I did was I drummed up this character, Gypsy. In fact, as I shared with Ellen earlier, this was a book that I thought was going to be my literary piece, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, my voice, and every writer has a voice,
yeah,
but my old voice came through, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. I still talk about the realities of what happened during that time, mm-hmm. but I use this character, even though it's not my story, it's a story I painted for her, mm-hmm. but I still lived vicariously through her. So I wanted to share through Gypsy how I was feeling about that time frame, some of the things, my thoughts, even though like I said, I'm still not Gypsy, but what I'm saying is some of my vague thoughts are channeled through her. And so it was just a climatic time for all of us, Mm-hmm. And Fallen Leaves actually represents all the people that we've lost through the pandemic, as well as the Black Lives Matter movement, or I wouldn't say the movement necessarily, but that have been killed, that has caused the upscale of the Black Lives in that Matter movement. That's what fallen leaves are. That's why on the book cover, you see that the leaves are falling down, you know, one by one. Even with the pandemic, you know, we were just losing people by the thousands, thousands and thousands. So that is the reason that I wrote this particular book.
Thank you for that. And also, I wanted to say, um, when you talked about the George Floyd, and we'll get back with that with the Black Lives Matter, because I want to spend a little bit of time of that. We saw things a little bit different. Um, I don't mind saying I'm in my 60s, and we were back in the time where we seen um, black and white, some marching. But fast forward to this era, I see, because I remember when Martin Luther King died. I remember I'm from Chicago in the suburbs area. I remember folks coming outside, tearing up their own community. And I'm trying to find where my parents is, and I'm right by my house. And so I remember that. I remember the looting and different things like that. Now moving forward, I'm like, hey, I'm in my 60s and it's coming around again. And we get to see someone die right in front of the whole world. I mean, I don't know how you felt, but I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, am I really seeing somebody die? No, he's not dying. Is he dying? What are we going to do? Well, we can't do anything about it. People got to move. Do we have to? So the world, I think that brought to me the unity of colors, like race, smashing together, seeing this life, and saying, no, we don't want this. We're all those things happen systemically and different things like that. We as a world grieve together. And it brought out the ugliness, because you had where there was COVID-19, which to me, it was wrapped in hatred, because we saw a lot of hatred. What hurt me the most was when I saw this white man, his wife is black, and she's if I say it right, paraplegic. She is she can't walk. She's just totally, and then they grabbed him and killed him. I'm like, that was her life. That husband did everything for her, and he's white. And then you see white people get in front of so that black people will not get hurt. And then you saw all black, and where the world was different over there. There was still spraying stuff. That here was a quiet march, and it was, it just, our world was hurting. And 5 years ago, and then to see it in the book as you wrote it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm feeling some kind of a way. Did you want us as readers to feel some kind of a way?
As a writer, that is our job. We talk about, when writing, we talk about the five senses, touch, smell, feel, taste, all of those, and of course, definitely, when I read a book, and I write the way I want to read a book. I want to feel. I want to be a part of the emotions. I want to be part. Sometimes when I read a book, I'm so in the pages, as if I'm actually in there moving with these folks, So yes, I wanted people to feel some kind of way. That's the reason why I wrote it, because I felt some kind of way, the movement, and hopefully, it would touch somebody, some kind, whatever, however, in whatever way it might touch you. In fact, I would just give you a quick synopsis of Fallen Leaves. Is Gypsy's journey. It's her journey as she maneuvers through the pandemic, as well as the Black Lives Matter movement after Floyd's death. And to see this person, become activated, even though she didn't have a whole lot, but some of her life situations were her own doing. But to see her come alive, to react, like I said, when she didn't even have a whole lot to become involved. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see
Mhm.
her have purpose in her life. And, with the Black Lives Movement, so many people became engaged, they
Mhm.
started standing up, and this thing, like I said, Breonna Taylor had just been killed, not even weeks before, and then the other Aubrey,
The jogger. The jogger.
yeah,
Mhm.
right, yeah. I mean, they were in the last couple of months, and then of course, the list goes on back and forth, and I list them all in the book here, but it got people to thinking, about their lives, and what their lives meant. And I mean, and it touched, like you said, it touched people, all kinds of people. It was it wasn't just a coalition of Black folks. It touched the lives of many people. And you will also see, I'm just giving a little hint, in Black Diamond, that this like you said, it happens all over the world, but they have their issues too.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say about Black Diamond for right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
I want.
so
I
I
want to
do,
go back to Gypsy.
yes,
And when I think of gypsy, I think about someone that, like a gypsy woman that out there from place to place, don't really have a home, but have
yes,
something, a little something, something. And so gypsy, with her name Reese Shackelford,
yes,
you get to see her both as Gypsy and as Reese Shackelford. And I
right,
love the way he came. You brought her to where, okay, she doesn't have to be Gypsy anymore. She can be interchangeable. She can be
right,
Gypsy whenever she
right,
wants to. And so
right.
what I see with Gypsy and her two children, Lemonade and
Amina,
Lemonade and
Amina,
Amina.
Amina. Uh-huh.
So with Gypsy, you see the story opening up. She works at a diner, and then you see her. She doesn't have much, but then you see her sister Taylor. So let's talk about Gypsy. We did do a little bit about her, Gypsy and Taylor, the dynamics of the siblings.
Well, they had a very, I hate to use the word tumultuous, but kind of like that, it was a sibling rivalry, that happens in a lot of families, now Taylor, they had the same parents, even though the father wasn't really in their lives. And I showcase him a little bit in the next book, but um you know even though, I'm a family of 8, and everybody don't come up, they don't act the same way, they don't take the same route that you do, you know what I'm saying? So Taylor, her sister, works at a university. She's, got a lot of money. She makes good money, I'll put it like that. She's married to an attorney, a lawyer in town. They live in a gated community, and you know
Mm-hmm.
how sometimes we get a little and so she's
Mm-hmm.
looked down on her sister. And yes, Gypsy may has made some bad choices in her life, but that doesn't, but
Readers
she's
would
still,
have to see that.
they're still
Yeah.
sisters, but um her sister Taylor kind of used that against her, and so anytime Taylor, not anytime Gypsy would ask for something, and she didn't ask all the time,
No,
it was like Gypsy was beneath her until she was missing. And that's when she got COVID and she was in a hospital. She didn't know where her sister was. And all of a sudden she had a conscience, but that conscience
mm-hmm.
only lasted a long time, and um, we'll see. I won't go too far
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
story just yet, as to, Taylor's, you know, Taylor's situation,
yeah,
I'll put it like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
But yeah, they did not have a good relationship, and so forth, but I know that Gypsy loved her, as an author, I can say that Gypsy loved her sister regardless, and she hated that she treated her like that. But, what could she do? And then there was that moment, when Gypsy was in the hospital and she couldn't work, and she lived, um, her kids were with the sister at the time. And so her sister felt so bad because she had, it was in the hospital for some time. And Taylor invited the sister to stay with her for a little while. But then the jealousy comes back in because
Yeah.
then the George Floyd event happens, and then Gypsy sitting there all the time, her mind started, she's got the thinking, and what can I do? How can I show support,
Mhm.
for all those who are marching, for this cause? And when Taylor's husband, um, gets in there with her, then there's the jealousy. The sister Taylor doesn't like that, and she does some terrible things, but
Ooh,
that
I
was
was so
just the
waiting
beginning,
for that.
because when one door closes, another one opens,
Yeah,
but see, you just never know, you never know that, God was making it for her good, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But we
yeah,
did not know, and sometimes we have to be open when things happen to us in life. We have to, you know instead of mumbling and grumbling, there might be a reason for that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, and that was the beginning.
yes.
That was the beginning of Gypsy's growth. Okay, even though she didn't know it, I didn't really know it at the time either. I just know that I wanted to get her out of that situation.
Yeah,
It wasn't going to be easy because life is not easy,
yeah.
but
She had a
yeah,
hard
she
beginning,
had a
and her
hard
kids.
beginning, but she struggled like so many people, and I've
Mhm.
known a lot of people, who struggled. You look at a lot of the folks in the celebrities, that didn't have nothing, lived in a hole in the wall, da 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 da. They got mansions, you know, houses, two
Exactly.
or three, four houses, that I can never touch. You know what I'm saying? All
True.
these cars. Not that I want all that wealth.
Mm,
That's not me, for me. But I'm just saying, you can't overcome. I guess you can't overcome. That is my thing. But it's what you do, And so
yeah.
Gypsy, when she found new life, and someone took the time out to invite her to go somewhere to talk about this, they've seen what she did down at the marketplace in Fayetteville. And I noticed that I used Fayetteville.
I know. I
Oh,
was
that's
looking at
right too.
that.
Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking you're from Fayetteville, but as a backdrop, because these are what I utilize, are things that actually happen. A lot of the
Mhm.
marches are things that you see in that book. Those are the things that actually happened in Fayetteville. Okay, so I
Wow.
chronicled those things. Even with the chief police that headed one of the marches, that was a real person.
Really?
Yes, that's a real person. And that's what she
Yeah.
actually did it. Now, the only thing that's different, and like all my Fayettevilleans, they were like, okay, yes, Suzetta, we got you. Okay, that the mayor, it wasn't that mayor, okay, when she had the situation with the mayor. It wasn't our current mayor, So anyway, everybody knew what I was doing, but a lot of different things, the police thing, all that's fabricated. What happened to Taylor and all that, that's fabricated. But I just wrote that
Mhm.
in there. But
It
the
was.
marches and some of the things that happened, what happened in front of Fayetteville State, those things really did happen. They
Wow.
really happened. So I tend to do that in some instances. I import things. I did some statistics when Gypsy was out in LA, and one of the things was Oakland. I'm from Oakland. That's where I was born and raised, in Oakland,
There's
California.
Rick
Yes.
Johnson. Rick, you
Yeah.
better come and give me my book.
Yeah. Oh,
Rick,
yeah. Old
we want
Town.
our book, Rick
Yeah.
Johnson.
And so some of the things I cited there, they actually happened. And one of the newspaper editor that got killed that I cited in there, I knew that we went to school. So that
Wow.
was, I wanted to make sure that was in there. So and people will go behind me and fact check me. I have these people, but it's fine, because if I'm gonna put real stuff in there, I make them true. But anyway, having said all of that,
Yeah,
and I know
but
I'm
exactly like you said, having said that with Gypsy and her sister, I like the way, I just want to roll back just a little bit. When Taylor didn't know where her sister was,
yes.
her neighbor, I was like, that does happen because with her neighbor knowing more about her,
Yes.
now realizing that her sister is really not for her.
Right.
And when they got into that confrontation and she said, you should have known her number.
Exactly.
And I was like, wow. But Gypsy, you just love to journal her. Journal with her through her story.
Yeah.
And what she went through, and her kids, I really like her kids. As we go a little further, they will see that how Lemonade she could sing, and then the other daughter has her thing, and then you have the cousins that are together. What I wanted to talk about is I know Gypsy has Kendrick somewhere down the line. I wanted to talk about Chris.
Yeah.
Chris hid the fact of his relationship and just made us believe that he had a perfect relationship. Why was it so important to hide Taylor's real issues and make it look like that she has more than Gypsy?
But don't you see that a lot? That's real. But then, he's, they're a prominent fixture in the community. Okay. So, and you're a Black prominent figure in the community.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, what my mom used to say, what happened in the house stays in the house. Okay. What stays in the house. Okay. You don't want everybody knowing your business, and Christopher Sr., he was a good person. He was a good person. He loved his family. He loved his wife. He put up with a lot of stuff, but a good man after a while, when they get run down. But he is a good person, and I wanted to purport him as a good person. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that means hiding things that hiding a marriage that may not be what it seems on the outside. You're there to protect your children. You have children, wonderful children who are smart children. You want to protect your family at all costs. Until it's well. I'm trying not to talk about to go ahead of myself.
What man is gonna tell that though? What man? And I love that car ride with him not knowing Kendrick, but just being on a man who knows the emotion of a man.
Right.
She couldn't fix it. Gypsy couldn't fix it, although she loved her brother-in-law.
Yeah.
She could not fix the emotions of a man. So I'm glad you brought Kendrick there.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't know him as much, he knows how
he knows a male, right? A male, yeah. Another male can talk to another male, you know what I'm saying, And then of course Gypsy was his sister-in-law, So, of course, there has been this friction between the sisters, but yet and still he knew that Gypsy loved her sister, okay?
Yes.
But and I'm sure in the back of his mind, and if I think about it, I'm sure that Taylor loved Gypsy as well, but she just had a terrible way of showing it,
Yeah.
She had some demons, that she had to she never really did overcome them, but she had some demons, that she needed to deal with, But I will say, because I did not really go into that in this particular book, but I will say that you will get answers in the second. And Black Diamond.
I wondered about that because we get a glimpse of mental issues.
Yes.
And so we as women, Black women, I don't know why they tell us this story, that we're supposed to be strong,
right,
to battle away our feelings, battle away our mental state, battle away until after like pandemic and all those different things, we realize that it is okay for a Black person to get a psychiatrist. It is okay for us to say that there's some mental issues going on.
Oh, yes.
It's just started being okay.
yes. And you find out now everybody going to the psychiatrist. I got friends that going to the laying down on the couch. But there's nothing wrong with that, and it's wonderful if you have a place to go. And then, of
Yeah.
course, it's even better, you got the insurance that will allow you to go there, that will pay for, that. But, I'm glad that we're, not everyone, but that we're breaking through that stigma that, we can't talk to anybody else, but, because sometimes you just can't talk to your best friend. There's some things that are so deep in that you need a unbiased person, to talk to, even though, like I say again, Taylor never got there, and I feel bad about it, but she was my I have to sacrifice
You
somebody
did.
in my story.
So
I gotta tell
did Gypsy
you,
know? Did
I
Gypsy
can't help
know?
it.
Did Gypsy
Yeah.
know though? She kind of figured it out, kind of,
Well,
sort of. Because I think back.
she's her sister. She's been dealing with her, for a number of years. They're in their 30s. So she knows that she has whatever. Maybe
Wendy's
not
coming in.
necessarily.
Let me reset the room. Wendy is coming in the
Oh,
room, and
okay,
she read the story. So those of you that are on there, Rick Johnson, thank you for being back there.
okay.
Rick, we want our story. We want Jason off the beach. And so we're talking about that. So Wendy is on resetting the room for all those who are there. Thank you for being here. Suzetta Perkins is here, and we're talking about her book, Fallen Leaves. We will do part two. I got it on audio in the book. We'll do part two,
Thank
guys.
you.
Yep,
Yes,
I
yes. And
did both of them.
and may,
But
and may
Wendy, I don't
I
know how much you heard, but we're talking about. We just been talking about the mental illness with, going on, what's going on in the book and everything. Her camera's flipped, but she'll still be there. And we just talked about Gypsy, and so I guess you're still there, Wendy, or not. But that's one of the things we were talking about, is that we have issues within our Black community, but just being Black. So,
yes,
there's a Black
yes.
people, just being Black
Hmm.
is trauma.
Right,
You know,
right,
so
right.
that's the thing. Wendy, I don't know if you have anything to say or how much you've heard of at this moment, and I'm gonna let Wendy jump in some, but I still have
No,
more.
go ahead.
There's some issues
Go
that
ahead.
we will
Go
talk
I,
ahead.
about.
I
No,
That's
go
see
ahead.
okay.
Ricky.
It's your
But
turn.
I see.
okay, there's some
I see
issues with.
Ricky. I see Ricky Johnson. Hi, Ricky.
Yay!
Ricky.
He's
Ricky
there.
was.
Rick
Ricky
Johnson is
was.
there.
He was a straight
An
author
author,
like
I'm
I
telling
was.
you.
Yes. Hey, Ricky. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. But we talked about mental issues. We talked about some of the Floyd story and the sibling rivalry and Lemonade and Amina, if I say her name right,
Yes.
and
Uh huh.
how they as siblings, the children of Gypsy, and how they talk about, I think that, we get to see as a reader that their relationship is nothing like her mother, their mom. And we get to see them grow up and everything. And so I'm glad you did that, Suzette. I'm glad you allowed them to grow up and to be okay. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure
But,
they've seen
mm,
a lot of what their mom had gone through.
yeah. But they
And
were smart girl. They were very smart girls. Okay. And
Mhm.
I wanted to make certain that the readers knew that they were very smart girls, and they were headed. They just needed a push or some help or what have you. So that's why I took them again. I took them out of their present environment,
Mhm.
and when the opportunity presented itself, I took them out so that they could flourish. And that was the part of Gypsy's growth as well. So yes.
Yeah. Well, what about Taylor's children? So you got Chris and you got Reese named after you. I guess I'm saying after you, like you,
I
Gypsy.
know what you meant.
Named after Gypsy, because Gypsy is Reese. And so I guess I guess Taylor liked her enough to just name her daughter after her. So tell us
Yeah.
a little about her children, about Chris Jr. and Reese.
Okay. Well, they're the cousins and of Amina and Lemonade, and and Lemonade is Lily. Her real name is Lily. One of my, I have to say this real quick. No. I'll get off. I'll get off on a tangent and forget to come back. So let me go ahead and address your question. But anyway, but they had everything. They had parents who doted on them. They had the beautiful home and all of that. And I'm sure that Amina and Lemonade, they I won't say they were jealous, but they kind of wish that they had it, and
Yeah.
they talked about it. I really talk more. You'll see more in Black Diamond. Okay, you'll see
Ooh.
more of them growing up, and I'm not going to even go there. I can't go there. I'm trying to stay away from
Try
that
to stay
book.
away
Okay,
from it.
because I'm trying to stay away from that book. Okay, because you'll see more of their them being together in that particular
Okay.
book. Okay, but Christopher Jr. and Reese, they were little spoiled brats, to a
Okay.
point. And you'll hear the girls say that again in the next book. They didn't say it that way, but they there's a instance where they tell their mother, that she didn't see how they treated them sometimes, like, this is mine and da 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 da, while they enjoyed them being there, but they still had, this kind of a superiority attitude, but they loved them still, they were cousins, and they're just being kids. Okay, yeah, these kids are living in Section 8 house, and they got to come over to my house, da 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 da, but they loved each other. And I kind of stay true to that. There will
Mhm.
be some friction, because I don't leave them out of book 2. And so, like I say again, we can talk more about those
Yeah.
girls in the
That was
next book.
important for you to have the siblings and the cousin in his story to write some young people within your story.
Yes, yes. In fact, I will even go far as to say, really, Reese, the niece. Okay, there's going to be a lot of, how can I say
I
it?
thought so. I
There,
thought so.
there's going to be,
Hold it. Let us see
okay,
it. Hold
yeah.
it. Hold it.
I'm only,
Maybe I shouldn't have
only,
asked for. Yeah.
I'm only saying that to say that even as we were taught, before I came on here, the third, and I wasn't going to write a third book, but I had to because of what happens in Black Diamond. And so the next book, which I'm working on, I'm up here now, it's called Loving Myself. It's Reese's story. That's
Oh,
the
I'm so
niece.
happy. Good.
So yeah, so it's, I mean, Gypsy and her kids, they're all still in the story, but it's going to be a
Good.
different story.
I love.
And I hope to close the book there. It may not, but I hope to, but it's going to be Reese's story. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
yeah, and I won't even tell you the premise of it. It's there. It's like bubbling to jump out to tell y'all. Okay,
Don't,
but
keep
but
it in. Keep it in.
but,
You know your nose is keeping
but
it in.
I try to hold it in. Okay, I try to hold it in. Ooh,
So we,
ooh.
Wendy and I, we were wondering, is there a backstory to Gypsy and her sister as to why Taylor treats her sister like she does?
Again, Black Diamond, Black Diamond,
You got your answer,
and
Wendy.
yeah, you got
Yeah.
to,
Got your
you got
answer.
to,
You have
yeah,
anything for her?
yeah,
And then I know we're gonna talk about Black Lives Matter and some more
yeah.
Black stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Do
Yeah.
you have anything for
You
her?
have to go to Black Diamond. We're not ready to talk about that yet, so you'll
Oh,
have to
not
have
yet.
me.
Not yet.
You'll
We
have to
got one
have me
more
on
book.
again.
I have eyes on it.
What
Wendy,
I was sharing. Well, hello, Suzette.
Hey,
It's always good to see you.
darling, how are you?
I'm good. And what I was sharing with Ellen, as far as Gypsy, I think the thing in the diner, being that it's
Uh-huh.
like in the late 20s,
Yes.
20
Yes.
twenty to
Yes.
24, and you still have that
Yes,
racism. And
yes, yes.
it put me in the mind of people being down south, you know. A- And then I just couldn't believe it. Like he was still like the police officer, the way he came off to her,
Yeah, yeah,
disrespectful.
yeah.
But she stood her ground
Yes,
too, you know, like, no,
yes.
you may be this, but you're not gonna talk to me any
Ex-
kind of way.
Exactly. And this is in the the reason I wrote that piece, and you'll remember that some of them, a couple of guys that wore the MAGA caps, right?
Hmm.
And I can't say that joker's name, okay?
Yeah,
46
yeah, yeah,
minus one, okay?
yeah.
It's that period where they think that they own the country,
Hmm.
okay, that they can come out and treat us any kind of way. Not that I had that experience or anything,
Right.
but that's the kind of attitude that we've been seeing, and so I wanted to put that in just to give it some flavor that lead up to the George Floyd incident, to
Yeah.
already have you, even though we're talking about the COVID at that moment, but it's like, okay, there's a whirlwind turning. We don't even know. We don't see April down the line yet. We don't see the George Floyd thing, but there's something in the wind other than that COVID. COVID is bad, but something's in the wind. So that's why I use that,
Hmm.
at that point in time. But also to show you that everybody, regardless of what they're wearing or what their beliefs are, are not bad. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because like she said that, they uh you know they gave the best tips, and
Yeah.
some of one of my coworkers, her nieces worked in um Waffle House, and they were talking about how them people always gave them the good tips, so
Mhm.
that's where I got that from, and it's funny, I'm not a Waffle House person, but we have one just built, a brand new one over near where I am, and I started going there and I started eating there once a week. It was funny. And I started talking to, and it was funny. And I started talking to the lady. I bought me a cup. It's, I don't know, Wendy, you can see my thing back there, but I have a whole bunch of cups
Hmm.
back there on my shelf. But one of them's a Waffle House. I got my Waffle House cup back there. I bought a Waffle House cup. But they said, put us in the book, put us in the book. And I meant to
Hmm.
take a picture of them to put it somewhere in the book, black and white. But
Put it in the
I,
third one. You can put it in the third one. Backdrop
oh,
it.
oh, okay, okay, I can do that.
Yeah,
And
backdrop it in the third.
I do, even in with um um fiction novels, I do research, so I go in there, I look to see how it's set up, no matter what story it is, I will do some research on it, things, and you got to,
Yeah.
do a little research, to make it, to give it realism. I'll put it like that,
Mhm.
so,
Hmm.
yeah.
She did go through in that diner. I was really upset, and like Wendy and I, we are in our 60s, and so she said it took her back. It took me back too,
Mhm.
and we are going to go ahead segue to the Black Lives Matter. So you mentioned in your book some different things. Other folks would have to read it. So I'm resetting the room before I do that. Those who are looking, if you do want to ask questions, there is a oh, well, I have an iPhone, so at the bottom going right, there is a bubble with a question mark. You can hit that, and then you can write your question in there, and then it will stay. That way I can read it and see what you have for Suzette. So this is Q&A. Well, you can write it right there. Again, there is a bubble with a question mark in it, and you can write it there. And thank you guys for being here. I seen some sharing. Thank you for swiping and sharing. Black Lives Matter. So we got to see a whole new perspective in that, looking at that. And a very hard time. And I thought personally, maybe Black Lives Matter too, because you and I, we are all from back that time, all three of us, and that we knew that our lives didn't matter. But doing this Black Lives Matter, it really, to me, hurt a lot of people because I was looking at, and I say somebody may not like me for this, but I was looking, I didn't wear the mask. I didn't do the Black Lives Matter because it didn't matter when there was a black on black.
Hmm.
Mm.
When it was black and other ethnic colors, they came out. When it was a black on black, nothing happened. So I was up. at that. And so reading your book,
No,
I saw
I
it.
got you.
We
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
matter to ourselves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's a wonderful perspective. I won't say I never, but I certainly wasn't thinking in that vein, but thank you for bringing that point out. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Wendy, what did you have on that? Because Wendy talked about that.
Yeah, because we all know it started out brutality, police brutality, blah
Right,
blah blah, but then it shift to a whole different era.
right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
the truth started coming out about Black
Mm-hmm.
Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to go back to the story. I liked how Gypsy found her voice, her purpose
Yes, yes,
for that. I mean, her belief was so strong.
yes,
Like, yeah, I want to
yes,
do something. I want to make a
yes,
difference. I'm tired of
yes,
working in the
yes,
Waffle House, right?
yes.
And her sister, you know, I said her sister even pushed her to that point because she
Mm-hmm.
said, "You're not going back to Waffle
Right,
House, right?"
exactly,
And
exactly.
so when her sister was on board with that, that made her think outside her box. Like, I may be in Section 8 or whatever, but I can be
Right,
something. I could
right,
contribute to something. So that
right.
I like how Taylor sort of kind of pushed her there.
Yes, yes. That wonderful. That was good, and it was born out of a guilt, really.
Hmm.
The guilt drove it. But you are so correct. And it's funny because I actually thought that in my, I didn't say that in the book,
Hmm.
because you know each reader as they read, they can have their own um a reckoning of what or why or this,
Hmm.
that, and the other, and you want to allow the reader to think for themselves. But Wendy, you hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head. I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly how I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then she turned back, then she got ugly again. But
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the disease which you like that,
that's that's
anyway,
the
that you'll
COVID.
find
COVID.
out.
That's what I say.
Mhm.
Because it was a time when we was all supposed to have been quarantined. We was all supposed
Yeah.
to have been at home. Little school
Mm-hmm.
wrapped up in there, and the parents got upset. We can't keep our kids. They went to the state line to open up, and we're getting our teachers infected. They are on front line, essential, if you will. And then
Mm-hmm.
they had to be responsible for the COVID mask and had to be
Mm-hmm.
responsible for all those other
Mm-hmm.
things. But
Mm-hmm.
why didn't we just stay in the house? And you get to see that in your book. And so with Taylor, there was times, as reading Wendy's experience might be too, there was times that I felt like Taylor, she knew she was Black in every speck of the way, but she was upper crust. She was high
Yeah.
level, high value
Mhm.
Black. And so she
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
knew that Black Lives Matter march and everything. But it came a time that she wanted it,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about the systemic stuff and police, we always have that talk with our Black children. Make
Yes.
sure your hands
Yes.
in front of
Yes.
you, make sure you stay away from the
Mm-hmm.
counter, make sure you put your
Yep.
hand up, tell them you're reaching for your ID, all those things. But the readers will see in the book, did she provoke it? Did Taylor provoke it? Was it warranted? Did they
Yeah.
have to go that route?
Right.
And
Right.
then even Gypsy herself said, she and her husband,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the husband is
Mm-hmm.
like maybe blah 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 and blah blah blah. We know how
Mm-hmm.
she is,
Right. Right.
you know.
Right. Right. Right.
And so
Right.
I get to see that. I love the way that played out.
Yeah, and it's so sad because these are things, real life things that happen. Even though this is a different scenario, but scenarios like that happen all the time. And I think that also when I was, I make notes. I don't use everything, but my wheels are always turning. And with Taylor, when she saw that her husband was paying more attention, even though it was all about
Yes,
Black
Mhm.
Lives Matter, right? It was strictly that. Gypsy didn't want her husband, anything like that. But Taylor got jealous,
Mhm.
and so here's this jealousy, and they could have done a lot together. They could have, I mean, it could have been a super family thing because the family, little Reese and Chris Jr., you know, they
Yep.
were all holding placards. They want to, you know, be a part of this movement too. You know, they wanted to do something, which is something that we did see here in Fayetteville. Again, as I said, a lot of these things that I put in there were things that happened. You know, I just wrote them maybe a little different way, but you know, we had those same marches, you know. And so but Taylor's her jealousy just overtook her, you know, and then you know, she made the bad decision of calling the Section 8 people and what
That was
happened on her.
crazy.
That was crazy, you know. Why would you do that, you know? But you see it all the time, y'all. I'm gonna tell you, I can tell y'all some stories, you know. So I just put it on Gypsy and Taylor. I put it on Taylor. I said, well, Taylor, you're gonna be acting up, you know, because but I wanted you to see something in the story anyway. There's always a reason for that. And and reason
But
for why we
jealousy
do or
brought
why
about
people
that,
act the way
right?
they do. I'm sorry.
But jealousy brought about that emotion to carry it out.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
it's
And so
about
to
your,
Wendy's,
yeah,
right. So to Wendy's point, you know, that drove Gypsy even more, you know.
yeah.
I think she started out just painting around, okay, in Fayetteville, we have what we call we call it the slave house. It's called the market house, but it's the slave house where they brought the slaves, okay. And so anyway, around it, um the black folks, I guess they got a commission to do Black Lives Matter around it, you know, and so forth. And then what happened was after it was there for maybe 30 days, you know, the city council, whoever it was, they got rid of it. But it's back down, it's down there permanently now, right? But I saw Gypsy, okay, well, she said, whatever little I can do, I can't do a whole lot. I don't have whatever. But she was down there. And as you know, even though I didn't even put it in there, but you know, we just have to use our imagination sometimes. You know, news cameras were everywhere. I know they were in our city twofold. George Floyd, number one, family lived where I live. Okay, his stepmother worked at the same place I worked. His family, the rest of his family, lived up in Rayford, which is right next to Fayetteville. And my pastor, and you'll see that in there, that was actually my pastor doing the eulogy. My pastor actually did the eulogy
Wow.
for for George Floyd, you know. So I put him in there, yes. And so I said, Pastor, you getting the book, right? I said, I put
Wow.
your name, and his name is Christopher too, but with two P's. I said, I put your, oh yes, Sister Perkins, I'm getting a book, you know. And then Daddy said, I'm getting a book too. I said, yeah, because you know, and everybody said, yeah, girl, we saw where you put the pastor's name in the book. But he was the one, he's the one who actually did George Floyd's eulogy
Wow.
here in Fayetteville, you know. So that was another thing, you know, that touched me. But here's Gypsy, you know, okay, I ain't got much, but I'm gonna do something, you know, I'm gonna make
Exactly.
something. I'm gonna prove to my girls, you know, that I'm just more than, you know, the what you call the girl, the waitress at the Waffle House, you know. And so the cameras, I'm sure the cameras are highlighting different things in different areas, and that's why she got called to Washington. I had to do something. That's the only thing I could come up
But
with at the
let's talk
time, you
about
know.
that. Let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought it there. I was
Hmm.
trying to remember and you brought it back up to me, to
Hmm.
us. So with Gypsy doing that, this is when she gets to be Reese.
Hmm. Yes. Oh, yes. She's
This is when she
right.
gets, but
Reese.
you know what she was doing, but I don't think, I think she wanted the backdrop accolades and not the forefront, because what would she say? As
Yeah.
she was
Right. Right.
talking, you know, what would she actually say when
Right.
she got called up?
Right. And she didn't, she basically, she sat there and listened, but see that, I guess because she had been talking within the community, you know, they asked her for ideas, which is, you know, I mean, even a small idea can uh, culminate into something big, you know. And so it was her ideas, you know, even though they were soft spoken, and I think I suggested one thing. I think her you know, because I didn't want her having talking and doing a whole lot, you know. She's still, you
Yeah.
know, she hasn't, what do you call it? She hasn't been cultured all the way just
Yeah,
yet.
Mhm.
yeah,
I'll put
yeah,
it like that.
yeah.
But she did have a couple of suggestions, and that's what they brought her up there, not knowing that down the road that maybe she'd be called again. But that's my story,
Mhm.
and that's how
Exactly.
I extended that story because I wanted that something happened good. I want something good to happen to for Gypsy. I wanted to see her, So I said, God, I gotta create some little story part here, But I can see it, and it's gonna be even her character, uh, her zeal for life, her zeal to win, her zeal to triumph for justice.
Hmm.
You'll see that, and that's how I felt. I said, I ain't doing it, but Jesse's doing it for me.
I'm glad she did, and I'm so glad about Kendrick with her.
Yes.
And I like the way you said the other story, the third book, and
Mhm.
she do deserve that love. She
Yes.
deserved to be loved, and
Yes.
I thought that Kendrick was gonna change on her, but he was for
Mhm.
her. And I thought a little bit. I was like, I wonder if she could have shared her new romance with Taylor, and I don't think she could have.
No. Mm-mm. She couldn't have. She couldn't have. And it, unfortunately, even because it was still at the time of Taylor's death, um, it was still a new thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
with Gypsy.
With
It was still a new
Kendrick.
thing. And
Mhm.
her and Reese weren't talking. I mean, Taylor weren't really talking, anyway. In fact, Taylor didn't even know that she had left Fayetteville going to LA. Of course,
True.
Christopher did. I'm sure she knew about it after she
Hmm.
left, but you know what I'm saying? They didn't have a conversation
Mhm.
or anything like that. Did Wendy have your hand
Wendy
up?
had
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
When she decided to uproot her family,
Hmm.
she didn't know what to expect,
No,
right? And
no.
she said, "Well, basically, I don't have nothing
Right,
to lose here.
right,
I'm already don't have a relationship with my
right,
sister, so why not me go out there and maybe try to better myself?"
right.
So I like how she didn't second guess. Well, should I confide in them? No,
Hmm.
I'm gonna just do it because if I confide in them, I might not be
Exactly,
talked out of it.
exactly,
You know.
exactly.
But she
And,
did.
and,
She
and
did lag a little bit on it. She just a little bit. And when her sister started fueling back, that's all she needed to know because she was
Hmm.
yeah.
in between that. But she didn't need nobody to say something to her. But I also liked where you had Lemonade singing and her mother watched her. You know what I'm saying? She didn't just let any contract. She read through those things and she made
Hmm.
sure her daughter was getting her just due. And then you got the
Hmm.
cousins kind of sharing what was going on with Lemonade. Will we see her sing in Black Diamond? Will Lemonade pursue that? Oh, okay. All right.
I
I
don't
was
know.
like, who is she looking at?
I, I,
Who
I,
is that looking at? What?
I don't know if I can do it here without losing you. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna let you all hear something. Yeah, I don't. I guess you haven't listened to it on Facebook. You haven't listened to the song.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm gonna try to. I'm.
Well, tell us where to go. Like, put the clip. When we leave and we go listen to it.
I just really downloaded it on Facebook. Okay, so
Okay.
you can go on my thing.
Go on your page, your
Go on my
fan
page.
page.
In fact, I dropped it again just the other day because I was well. Fallen Leaves and Black Diamond are now on all audio streams, so you can purchase audio books,
I
uh,
got it.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Spotify,
got that.
Spotify, and all of that. So you can do that. But yeah, so Lily writes a song for her mom. Okay, and what I did, see y'all making me tell
Well,
tell
don't
everything.
tell us. Let us go to it.
Okay,
Wait,
but
wait, wait.
anyway,
Let's let's
I
let's
would love
back
to.
up. Let's back up to when Lily and them. I want to speak on this. When they left the house, when they left the sisters, their aunt's house, and
Yes,
went back to their old environment,
right.
where her daughter just actually was so frustrated that she
Hmm.
told her mom,
Yeah.
she had the attitude like,
Yes.
oh, why we got to live like this,
Right,
Hmm.
you know?
right, right,
So
right.
yeah, I just wanted to bring that out. That was
But
the only.
right,
attitude that I remember her having with her mom,
right. But
you
she,
know, and then
but
that
Wendy,
helped
yeah,
propel her mom to do better for them.
yeah. But Wendy, she does. I don't. Evidently, it wasn't in this book, but she does apologize. It must be in the next book, but she does apologize to her mother for saying that. So
Oh, well, she
I'm
do.
glad you
She
thought
do.
about it.
And it's sort of like toward the end that she's sorry because then she get to see a good life, and then she get to see like she have these, the cooks and stuff in there, and she could ask, and Gypsy is kind of like, girl, we ain't never eat like this, so you better be careful about what you. No, I want
Right.
so and so. I want this, and she kept asking for different things because this is different food. But then, did Gypsy not feel worthy of this in her daughters at some point?
But it's still a new experience,
Hmm.
okay? It's a
Yeah.
new experience. And they were only, initially, if you recall, they were only supposed to stay there for a short time.
Hmm.
She's supposed
Right.
to kind of get trained and then come back to Fayetteville. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, she ain't going back there, not to live, okay? No,
No, she not. She
no,
not.
she's not going back there to live, okay? And you'll understand why.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was only going there, and of course, this was kind of like a gift. This is new. Of course, you know, even when we get something that's nice and so forth, it's like, God, really me, a
Yeah.
person who has
Yeah.
a good heart, and she's grateful that she has this
Hmm.
opportunity and her kids have this opportunity to come out there. You don't just take things for granted. Oh, the girl, look at, but that's what happens to a lot of people. I know,
Yeah.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I didn't want her to be that way,
Hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I wanted her to stay uncle, and I think that, and she
She
does,
She did.
did. She did.
even
Yes.
even,
Suzette, our
even
time is going
okay.
up. I didn't realize it's 8 o'clock. Wendy, thank you both for being here.
Thank
What would you
you.
like to give your readers a takeaway in just in hearing? Like she said, guys, Fallen Leaves, it has audio as well as Wendy went off. Thanks, Wendy. And Fallen Leaves has an audio as well as Black Diamond. Thank you for coming here, Wendy. Um, and what would you want the readers, this book, this Fallen Leaves, and then we're going to do the other one because I can't wait to get in and see what happened. What do you want them to walk away with?
Well, just knowing that, no matter where you come from, that you can all, that you can always excel, that you don't have to always be down, look for the good in things, um for Gypsy, like she had some wonderful opportunities, and everybody don't get those opportunities, but within your heart, that we all are worthy, we're all worthy of, and just be true to yourself, love yourself, enough that, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever you may happen to, whatever your dreams are and hopes and dreams are, follow your dreams, whether they come to fruition or not, just follow your dreams, and let life lead. I just want to thank real quick. I want to thank you, Wendy. I'm looking right at you, Ellen.
Wendy too, and
That
Ellen.
Wendy as well. But I want to thank you all for having me. This has been a wonderful, wonderful,
Love
absolutely
it.
wonderful event evening with you all. And I just appreciate you, Ellen. You know that I do. I love you.
Yes, I
We've been knowing
do.
each other for
Way back.
years. And
Yes.
this is just a wonderful opportunity to share my fallen leaves. And of
Go
course,
back and
glad,
get it, guys. Do
yes,
get it. Do get
please
it.
get
It's a
it.
lot of stuff.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
available on Amazon.com. But anyway, just thank you, thank you,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Tell them where
And
they can reach you at before we
I'm
go off. Tell them
sorry.
where they can reach you at.
Oh, SuzettaPerkins.com on that's my website. Nubian QE2 as NUBIANQE2, and that's at AOL.com. That's my uh email, and on Facebook at Suzetta Perkins, and TikTok or X or whatever they call it now at Arthur Sue.
You're just everywhere.
And And I, right, and IG Suzetta Perkins.
Come back.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Look, you
you.
are so welcome. We look forward after we read the book. We're going to start this today, tomorrow, but
Yeah.
after we finish reading, we will come back with more. And so we are, guys. We are coming up on part 2, Black Diamond. I see her with the cake cut on. Look like she's ready for the comeback.
Yes,
Look, don't
yes,
let me get you started.
yes.
She's
She's
ready for the
moving
comeback.
forward. She's moving forward.
Yes,
Yes, honey.
I love it. Thank you for being here. We're
100%.
going to hit that
Thank you.
X. You are so
Yes.
welcome.
All right,
Thank
love.
you.
Love
All
you.
right. Love you
All
back.
right.
Looking forward to seeing you in Newport News. We'll talk
All
about that.
right. Sounds good.
All right. That is Suzette Perkins. Suzetta Perkins, guys. Fallen Leaves. Audio is already out. Book is already out. Black Diamond is out. Black Diamond audio is out. For those who don't like to read and want the audio, like they do. Let's do this, guys. Let's make this #1 bestseller. You guys are going to be all in your emotions. Get ready. That's all I'm saying. Get your mind right for Fallen Leaves. I was all in my emotions. And now we have Black Diamond. She's coming. She's coming back. And there will be book 3. So thank you, Suzette. Thank you guys for being here. Ellen Sutter, the ESP Presents and ESP Book Chats, where we bring page turners your way. Good night to you all. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.